Canadian trucking company TFI International has decided it will stay in this country. The Montreal-based firm was planning to move its headquarters to the United States, but it has now reversed that decision. The CBC's Scott Peterson tells us why.
The reason for the reversal is TFI has one shareholder in particular. That's the Caisse de dépôt. They own 4% of the stock, but they also have a dual priority of wanting to protect the Quebec economy at the same time. So they made their opposition to this attempt to transfer into the U.S. very well known. Here's a bit of a statement by the Caisse as far as their opposition, saying that we will express our dissatisfaction. Quebec's interests are always at the heart of our priorities as a shareholder. So it's interesting that we have a shareholder of TFI with a dual purpose, if you will, and wanting to have them remain incorporated within Quebec. Now, here's the other side of the equation with TFI, the CEO, making his intentions known as far as wanting to incorporate in the U.S. and what a foggy environment this is now for Canadian companies. Do they invest more in Canada, or do they try to have a legal address within the U.S.?
For us and all of our customers, we have to understand what are the rules, right? What are the new rules? And this is still unknown. We're like driving a car or truck into a very foggy environment right now.
But the arguments for moving into the U.S. is a good one. For one, the TFI International, they have 70% of their business is done in the U.S. And also they recently took over a contractor with the U.S. Department of Defense. So doing any kind of business with the U.S. government, if there's a Canadian address on that, that could complicate things going forward there. And also this is a trend now by Canadian companies making this kind of decision on this foggy uncertainty of whether these U.S. tariffs are going to be imposed on Canadian ones. According to a recent study by KPMG, there's up to half of Canadian companies are now wrestling with the fact of, as far as, do we invest more in Canada or in fact go into the U.S. as far as incorporating there with a legal address change for that. Now, also we're seeing that this is a big problem, and the Bank of Canada is highlighting this as well. If businesses are afraid to invest in Canada, that does a lot of damage all by itself, never mind the prospect of wanting to move or incorporate into the U.S. as far as having a legal address in the U.S. So there's a lot of confusion and a lot of damage has already been done as far as a result of even just the threat of these U.S. tariffs. Scott Peterson, CBC News, Toronto.